Everybody.
Morning. It's so
Morning.
good to see everyone's bright, shiny face today.
Morning.
Very exciting day.
Here's a welcome poll, everyone.
Clubhouse, Mickey Mouse's clubhouse.
You're dating yourself.
Yeah.
I'm right there with you.
I just read about it this morning.
House, very well known.
I do have a Mickey
I don't know
Mouse.
why somebody would put that
Oh,
back
amazing.
like that.
So who's on Clubhouse? Anybody?
Elon Musk.
Yeah.
It's hard to
Oh.
get in. It's a platform you have to be invited to.
Oh, I know. I'm on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun to be on there. So highly recommend it.
I was just told that you can only be on it if you use an iPhone.
Well, or an iPad. So yeah, you need Apple technology, and it doesn't work with an Apple computer, but I've definitely heard of people working around it by getting a used, inexpensive iPad and going to town. So there's some options here, but I know they're talking about opening it up to Android. It's just they're doing so well with what they have. I'm guessing there's not a big impetus to make that happen anytime soon.
Lots of people in my industry are using it. I mean, I've heard people talking about it.
But what are the best three things about it?
I've only used it a little bit, but if you've ever, for me, so I'll just speak from my perspective, it's really great to be able to connect with people in a meaningful way and have real conversations about things that matter. So the premise is that you get in and you talk and have these moderated rooms. So it's not really intended to be a sales pitch. So that part of it's nice. You get up there with some presenters, or you're listening and you can raise your hand and ask a question and basically have direct access to the people who are presenting in the room, which is also really nice. So for very early adopters, that meant that they were interacting with some pretty influential people. Now the rooms are obviously more busy. You can create your own, you can have your own network. And, for me, in the past, I've done a lot of presenting as my way of connecting with people. And so I see this as a way to get back to those real connections. So like, if you're doing a presentation on, for instance, Facebook Live or YouTube Live, you don't really have great interaction with people, and you might not want to move to something like this, Zoom yet. So I see Clubhouse as kind of a nice medium in between those two.
Great, thank you
Plus,
very much.
nothing's recorded, so it's just, there's that, like, you get in there and you listen or you're not. There's no going back to it later.
Thank you.
And then are people jumping in at different times? Like somebody's presenting and then other people go in and.
Yeah, you can pop in and out of rooms, listen for a little while, go somewhere else. And there's so much out there, like as far as topics that you can explore. You don't even have to do it for business. You could just explore something of interest to you. Like I saw there were different language learning clubhouses. So if you're practicing, like I'm learning Japanese again. And so if you happen to be practicing a language, you could pop in there. I haven't tried that yet, but there's just a lot of options.
So Nettie, can you say, you should try Clubhouse, but say it in Japanese?
No, I can't say that yet.
Tell us something.
Always throwing the curveballs.
I know,
come on.
That's awesome.
I want to hear you say something in Japanese that's like really motivating.
I can say good morning. I will say I took a Japanese in high school and college, and then 20 years passed. So definitely brushing things off.
So how do you say good morning?
Ohayo gozaimasu.
Say it like you're angry.
Ohayo gozaimasu. That would be German. I'm not speaking German. I'm speaking Japanese.
All about
Guten
the
Morgen. That's
tonal
right.
expression.
Oh, sorry.
Well, let's
All right. Sorry.
reel
about
this
that.
in a little bit. I love that word, reel it in. Kiefer Rittenhouse here, Integrated Insurance Solutions. I'm the bond president. Welcome everybody. I know some of us might be having some Zoom fatigue being on the last Virtual Rebels call, which is always great and good energy and things like that. And curiosity is a fantastic topic to talk about in our businesses and personal lives. So it's kind of cool. But I'm really excited. Nettie is a former Bel Air bond member. She has been an advisor and a coach for me personally and for Bond, I guess. We've a great sounding board for Bond. A person I really trust, and I think she's going to deliver a great presentation this morning. And I'm really anxious to hear about it. Our paths have kind of crisscrossed a little bit. Nettie's and mine were both, from Carroll County, and grew up out in God's country, and come to the big city. Now she's moved away to a bigger city, or we won't name where the city is, but it's somewhere up in northern corner of Pennsylvania. But yeah, she's on to bigger and better things. And without further ado, I welcome Nettie Owens, Safari Solutions, and a momentum coach, and a fantastic person. So, morning, Nettie. It's all you.
Good morning. Thank you for that amazing welcome, Kiefer. I really appreciate it. And I won't say where I live, but it's outside of the smallest big city that has lots of bridges, and may have a team you don't appreciate very much, possibly. We got up this morning with 3 inches of snow, just adding to the 6 inches and the 9 inches that we'd had before. It's fantastic, but I hear it's also an anomaly in this area. So I'm excited to be here. We're going to be talking about your strategic plan that you may have created in 2020 to prepare for all the great things you're going to do in 2021, or you may not have yet started it. So it's not uncommon to put these things together, and then they sit and collect dust until next year when you say, oh, I should really create a plan. So our discussion this morning is really how to revitalize that plan, to put energy into it, and to make sure that you're always working towards the goals that you have, so that you can reach the big outcomes that you're trying to go for. So I'm excited to be here, and my intention is that you get something out of our time together that's actionable. So I'm not a big fan of shelf help, where you listen and you're like, oh wow, that was amazing, and then you move on to the next thing in your day. So if you were on the previous call, Virtual Rebels, type in the chat what you received from that call as a way to solidify your learning. And I'm going to have you do things like that for our call together too. And also just a reminder, everyone seems to be doing it, but go ahead and put your contact information in the chat so that everyone can connect with you afterwards. All righty, so I have a little bit of a presentation that I'm going to bring up here, and just give me one moment to make sure that that it comes up properly. Oh, I should not do that just yet.
Okay, here we go.
All right, everybody, can you see that okay? Is it coming through? Awesome. I have you on a separate screen, so if you see me looking away, it's because I'm looking at you on a different computer. That way I can still see your faces and make sure you're not busy watching Netflix while we're talking. I mean, goodness, that would be no good, right? All right, so actually I should probably flip them around, but I'm not going to do that. All right, so we're talking about your 2021 plan, and go ahead and drop it in the chat, or just raise your hand because I can still see you. Who here has a strategic plan for the year? All right, who here has looked at that strategic plan since they wrote it? Our numbers are dwindling. Who here looked at that strategic plan this week? Awesome. And who here looked at that plan today? Ooh, oh, I caught you. All right. So it's important to be not only creating that plan, but also reconnecting with that plan on a daily basis. And there's an easy way to do this. So first of all, I'm going to make sure that you have a plan. And then second of all, we're going to make sure that you have a way to easily connect with that plan on a daily basis, which ensures that you're going to reach your goals. All right, so we already covered that. I'm gonna go over it again. A little bit about me. I founded my company, Sapari Solutions, in 2004. I'm actually trained as a certified professional organizer in chronic disorganization, which means that I help people who have challenges beyond the norm with getting and staying organized. So that might be because of ADHD, anxiety, depression, OCD, PTSD, brain-based differences, all sorts of things that I pretty much now have named every person in this room that might impact your ability to get and stay organized and to focus on your goals. And really, it tends to fall more heavily, these kinds of things, to people who are entrepreneurial. The parts that make them great are that you all are idea generators and that you see a solution to every single problem that you face, and the things that might be challenging are that there are often squirrels that are distracting and it's hard to stay productive, especially when things get boring. So I work daily to help and support high achiever business owners to reach their biggest goals. So we're going to talk about this strategic plan, or as I like to call it, your battle board. And it's a little bit different. I mean, so they're not synonymous, but we're going to get into it really as not just a plan that sits, in a drawer somewhere, but something that we refer back to, that we change and that we adapt as new insights and information, new steps come into our awareness. We want to be making some adaptations to that plan. So the plan is a map. It's a clearly visualized strategy that helps you focus and keep your vision in front of you constantly. Something that you can adjust on the fly and allows you to share what you're doing publicly. So one of the things that we know is that when you create something like a plan, a strategic plan, or New Year's resolutions or goals, just thinking about them ensures that you will have a 10 times chance of actually doing them. Writing them down multiplies that success rate again by 10 times over. Telling them to somebody else, 10 more times likely that you're actually going to do it. So these are all steps. I call them success superchargers that you can add to make sure that that you're going to get done what you say you're going to do. And we want to include them all in the way that we create our battle board or our strategic plan. So before we really jump into everything, I would like you to take a moment to think about for yourself, what would you like to receive today? What must be true at the end of our time together here for you to call it a success? And if you don't mind, share that in the chat. Write that down in the chat.
Thank you for calling Charles Schwab Advisor Service.
It wasn't Netflix that I needed to worry about. We're going to be making investments while we're meeting.
My client's having trouble signing an electronic document.
Thank you. Please hold while I get you to a professional who can.
Oh.
This call may be monitored or recorded.
There we go. Sorry about that.
Excellent. Thank you. And I'm looking for the chat feed. For some reason, I'm not seeing the chat feed on my screen. Let me see if I can. Oh, there we go. It's just behind the window here. All right. Ooh, a plan for accountability. Definitely. You're speaking my language, Tanya. A template. Oh yeah, that's going to be the next thing. We'll get into a template. What Eric said. Cool. Awesome. All right, keep those coming in. I'm going to keep going, and but that doesn't mean you don't put your intention down. Sometimes it just takes a minute to type, so no worries. All right, so our plan, I just want to kind of go over an overview at the template to creating the plan. It includes these elements. Number one, it includes overarching goals. So we sometimes run the risk of getting too specific or too broad. So we want something that actually addresses both of these things, and that's why we have all of these different elements. But the first thing is overarching goals. So you might have heard big, hairy, audacious goals as a name for them. You can be looking at these goals that you're going to create for the year or for the lifetime in your business. And if you do the lifetime in your business, please make sure you also break it down to what you would like to achieve this year. So that's number one, overarching goals. Number two is that you break it down quarter by quarter. So as you can see, we're refining it just a little bit. We want to have that big picture, but we also want to know, what do we need to achieve within each quarter in order to reach that goal? And then we break it down the next step, which is month by month. So what do we need to achieve in this particular month in order to reach our quarterly checkpoint, and then to reach our yearly goal? And then the last part of it is really to know, what do you need to do on a daily basis in order to reach those goals? So it's not uncommon to set a goal, okay, this year we're going to launch a new program. We're going to bring in X number of new clients. We're going to hit a certain financial goal. And if we don't put the milestones in, then it can be an exciting goal and we might be energized by it on day one, but we will have left confusion in how we're actually going to get to that result. And so we definitely want a way to track daily progress towards that goal. And the other thing that we need to remember is that a lot of goals are of the kind that they build, and that there's not a lot of control that you have on kind of on the middle step is what I'm going to call it. So you might be able to control what you do. And if you do that enough, you can pretty much ensure that you're going to get a certain outcome, but you won't know exactly how that's going to happen. So let me give you an example. If you're in sales, you may be able to say that if you make 20 calls in a week, that you book 3 conversations and that you close 1 deal, right? So what you can control is making those 20 calls, but you don't know which of those 20 are going to close to be your new client, right? So that's what I mean by that middle step. We don't know exactly who, but we do know that if we do enough of the right things, that we're going to get to our results. Any questions so far? Oh, how to determine overarching goals. Awesome. That is going to be the next slide. I love how we're just moving right along here. Okay. If you do have any questions, you have 2 choices: unmute and ask, or drop it in the chat. I'll be looking at both. All right, so all of that is great, but we have to have, and I consider what I just showed you on the other screen, kind of the structure, right? And if you are into understanding energy, then everything that I presented on the last screen has to do with masculine energy. It's structure, it's organization, it's systems, it's processes. Everything that I'm going to talk about on this screen is coming from feminine energy. It's creativity, it's big vision, and you really do need both in the work that you're doing. And oftentimes we tend to kind of lean towards one or the other, but we definitely want a blend of both. So everything that you're going to create flows from your rear view vision, your who, what mission, and your star culture. And what these are, I'll explain it a little bit. Your rear view vision is you seeing a certain outcome for yourself, for your business, and then looking back at what it was that you did to create that vision. So it's both the result that you'd like to create, plus some creative thinking around how you believe you might get to that result. Your who, what mission is who you serve and how you serve them. Pretty straightforward. And your star culture is who you are or who your business is in order to create that vision. So it's not just it's not just some nice words posted on a wall, but it's the person or the way that your business has to be in order to create the vision. So or start with, creating those overarching goals. Is it Karen? I just have Kay Bradford. Karen? Yes? You can give me a thumbs up. Cool. Okay. I'm just assuming with the K. So Karen, you asked the question, or you said that you need to determine how to create overarching goals that are actually realistic and within reach. So the way that you do this, or the way that I found to be very successful, is to spend some time, and I'll talk to you about this a little bit more in what we do on a daily basis, but spend some time in the sandbox of the future, right? So the sandbox of the future is imagining that it's a year, 3 years, 5 years down the road, and everything that you say, think, or speak about has already come to pass. No one gets harmed in how you create this, and you really just want to immerse yourself in this future vision of where you'd like to go. It often just flows from this, that it's clear what you need to do in order to get to that. So when we start here from where we are now in our current reality, and we say, okay, I'd like to have another $1 million revenue stream, right? So if that's the goal, then you're going to think about all the ways that all the how of what you could do to get there. Oh, I could bring on 5 new clients. I could open a new office. I could go get a certification and start a new line of business, right? There's a lot of different ways of how we could go about that. But when we immerse ourselves in, I already have $1 million additional revenue stream, and then we just think about, we basically just see ourselves. So it's an unusual visioning exercise, but allows us to kind of cut away the clutter. Because when we start from our current reality, we're limited by all the things that we currently have around us. But when we kind of extract ourselves from this, and that's why I say play in the sandbox of the future, then there are possibilities that don't currently exist for us right now that do exist in the future. And so we may say, oh, I'm going to bring in that next revenue stream by collaboration. I see myself working with XYZ partners. And so it's a fun exercise, but it also helps us create right aligned overarching goals that do excite us and also don't play too small. I think it was Tony Robbins that said we overestimate what we could do in a year and underestimate what we could do in a lifetime or 5 years. And so this kind of helps us get out of that trap. So from here, what I'd like you to do is, if you already have that strategic plan written down, great. But if not, I would like to, how much time? We have 13 minutes. Okay. I said we weren't going to do breakout rooms, so I apologize. Anna, are you open to just doing a random breakout room? Is that something that you could do, or is?
Yeah, I can pick that up. Are you?
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, so I think it'll be a little bit easier, and we're not going to have a lot of time. You're going to have 1 minute each. Okay, so our breakout room will be a total of 4 minutes, a couple minutes to just figure out what the heck is happening, and 1 minute each to share. So each breakout room should have 3 people in it, if that's okay. And while Anna's getting that set up, I'm going to tell you how to do it. So while you're in your breakout room, I want you for 1 minute to share your goals for 2021. So imagine that 2021 is at the end of itself. We're into 2022, it's January, and I want you to share what you have accomplished in 2021, and then we'll come back together. So it's a fast and furious kind of thing. And then we'll come back together in the room. So when you get into your breakout room, the person with the shortest hair is going to start, and make sure you share your name and what you do very briefly before you share your what you have accomplished in 2021. Okay, any questions?
All right, here we go.
Okay.
Are we the only ones here, Richard?
Maybe you and I are the only two to come back.
Give them a minute. They're on their way.
Hello, Anna.
Yep, it gave them 60 seconds to close out, so they might just be finishing their call.
Oh, okay.
I realized I was talking to myself for a second.
And Brandon, you're welcome to join us up in Bel Air as well. We meet on the first Thursday.
Yeah, I would love to.
Yeah,
Thank
I'm
you.
When do you meet, Brandon? What date?
Great question. I think we're the third Tuesday of the month at noon.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Ryan would know.
Kevin would
Back
know
in?
too.
Are we still getting a couple people? How was that? Just first, good, good,
It was
awesome.
good.
I like the thumbs up. Yeah.
It was smooth. It was smooth to do that too. You
Excellent.
snapped your fingers and we appeared in a breakout.
I know. I'm kind of like Xanos, but in a good way. So, so two people to share. What was your learning from that experience?
Well, I think it's important to have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you don't have a business, right? I mean, that's one thing that I certainly have learned in the many years of being in business. Without a plan, you don't have direction or structure or discipline or
Yeah,
accountability.
there's a lot of things that go into not having a business or having a business, but a plan is one of them. A vision is one, knowing who you serve is another, being able to take consistent action, having connections, like all of these things go into the mix. It's like saying, if you don't have flour, you don't have cake. You're right, but you also need sugar and oil and vanilla and all of those things to really make a good cake. So a plan is part of it. Awesome. Any other learning from your time? Who else?
I think most people don't have a plan, and you don't need a plan to be successful, but you do need a plan to reach your potential or to exceed it, I believe. So I think it's about maximizing the opportunity, and that's where the plan comes in. I'm not somebody who does the plan, and I'm somebody who needs to. And I know that I'm not reaching my potential because of that lack of a plan.
Yeah, you can have a vision and not have it articulated into a plan, and you can still be successful, Eric. You're totally right. And that's why they say just even thinking about New Year's resolutions will create the ability that they will come to fruition. But there are things that you can do to make sure it's going to come sooner or in a better way or with less difficulty. And so that's where, the plan and then the action steps towards that help. So you're right. And it's interesting because kind of two different perspectives here on the same thing. But I think what that shows is that we each come with different strengths. And so for some of us, creating the plan is the easy thing and implementing it is difficult, or sustaining that energy is difficult. For others, creating the vision is easy, but creating the plan, the written steps is difficult. So, we all kind of come with different strengths, and it's that blend that we create when we either tap into collaborations or when we strengthen that area that might be a challenge for us, that we really get great results. I'm going to jump back onto the shared screen here. And can you see it? Or are you seeing, what are we seeing? Are you seeing the presentation or?
No.
Black.
No.
Next screen.
Okay. All right, let me try that again. I believe I've sort of lost the window. Oh, goodness gracious. Hold on. Please hold. Huh. All right. We can fix this and do it rather quickly. I've not experienced this one before, but that's all right.
I'm going to take a segment real quick, Nettie. Just give me the thumbs up when you're ready to get back into it. But one of the things I want to talk about while a lot of people are on the call is, the membership appreciation event. Since we're not meeting in person, what are some good alternatives to that moving forward? And we'll shoot for doing some sort of virtual event in March. We've talked about it a little bit with some group leaders and talked about it in the Bel Air Bond meeting last week. If anybody has some good ideas or some people to contact, please forward us that information, Anna or myself, that information. Then the other thing that I want everybody to help with was, what else do you guys want to see from a momentum meeting standpoint? March, I think we have somebody tentatively scheduled for March, but what do you want to see in these meetings and how do you want us to build them out for you? So please give us that feedback too. Nettie, you're up.
Awesome. Thank you. And thank you for your patience as I figured out what the heck just happened. Technology, right? Just always trying to adapt. I'm so glad we have these opportunities, and still sometimes it gets a little tricky. All right, so if it's okay, Kiefer, I'm going to finish in about 5 minutes. I know that's longer than we had said, but I just want to clarify with you that that's all right.
Fine, yep.
Okay, cool. All right, so some things that you want to put into your plan after you have those overarching goals, plus, we're starting to break it down. Taking time to consider your financial goals. What is it that you want to bring in yearly? And then step it down monthly in order to reach that yearly goal, weekly, and your top 3 income streams that are going to get you there. One of the things that came out in the breakout room was that if you're starting something new or if you're growing a network, it's going to take time to bring that to fruition. So it doesn't make sense to just have this monthly or weekly goal be consistent throughout the year. You want to make sure that you're considering, what's going on for you that month. Is it the beginning of a new project, or is it a mature project that, where that you're going to consistently hit a certain measure? I've seen a lot of people get really frustrated with an experience of saying, okay, I'm going to be bringing in $10,000 a month, and then not bring in $10,000 on the first month. Well, $10,000 a month is the end goal, right? So you need to take into consideration that it's going to take some time to get there and account for that. Time goals, again, something, we often think about financial goals, but we don't often think about how much time do we want to put into that project or into getting that goal completed. So what is your weekly work time goal? Are you hitting that? And typically this means, are you sticking to only working a certain amount? We don't tend to work too little. So are you making sure that you're only working 40 hours a week if that's your goal? Personal time goal. How much time are you putting into your own personal self-development, your personal relationships on a weekly basis? Are you hitting your personal time goal? And do you have a time off commitment? Are you making sure that you're taking time, even while working from home potentially, for real breaks, whether that's getting away to park or, just completely turning everything off technology wise? What is your time off commitment? And make sure that you have these goals and that they're prioritized as much as your financial goals. When you have all of this information, one of the things that I said is that you can make your battle board publicly visible, or your strategic plan publicly visible. And the diagram that I have in front of you, it's a pretty simple view, but this is the diagram of what I recommend for a visual on your strategic plan. It's basically, when people work with me to create this, we put it on a wall. Like, it's huge. I'm not talking about an 8.5 by 11 paper. I'm talking about 4 feet by 4 feet, that shows your vision, your mission, and your culture at the top. You have your quarterly focus, and then within that, the months that contribute to it for each of the 4 quarters of the year. And it's something that if you do put it out, on a wall in the office, in your office, then you have the ability to be connecting with your strategic plan, your battle board, on a daily basis, to be looking at what are the goals that you have for the year? What about for this particular month? And within that, what are you doing on a daily basis? What successes are you celebrating? So what I'm not showing here is what that monthly layout looks like. And if you'd like, I can always email it to you what that template for the month looks like. But we'll get into that a little bit more. So I just wanted to give you an idea of how you can make your battle board, your strategic plan, something that you can connect with very easily on a daily basis. It's never something that's in a drawer somewhere collecting dust. And the benefit too is that it's in a public place. Other people can be helping you, asking you questions, celebrating with you once you bring it out into the open. Keystone measure, I've already touched on this a little bit. I just didn't use the terminology, but it's the actions that you control that lead to real results in your business if you take action on it consistently. So as I said, with the example of making one sale, and the Keystone measure was 20 phone calls a week, right? Those are the things that you can control. It's going to be different for each of your goals and for each of your businesses. So this isn't something that you can cookie cutter out of a book. It's something that you need to sit with and discern, what does that measurement look like for you? All right, so what I have here is just the dates for quarterly goals. And when you're doing them, I encourage you to work backwards, start with the end in mind and where you need to be at the end of the year, 9 months, 6 months, it's not 3 months, it's a month and a half, but catch up with that. So what would go on each of those worksheets for your monthly targets is first your focus. So I encourage you to write down 1 to 4 areas to focus on for any given month. And this gives you the opportunity to break down projects into smaller bites, but also to be mindful not to put too much on your plate. Again, when I'm working with business owners, I encourage you to make sure that there's at least one focus area that focuses on you personally versus the business. It's just something that gets left out too often. Include in your monthly targets what events are happening, whether this is family birthdays or major rollouts for your business. What's on the calendar is going to affect your ability to focus and the outcomes that you have. The keystone measurements that you need to be taking action on consistently, you want to write those down so you can see, because it may vary from month to month. And this is really taking into consideration that there's a flow that happens through the year, right? That you're not creating a monthly plan that you would expect would be the same every single month of the year. And then the last piece is recording progress. So this isn't something you can do when you write your plan, but as your plan is executed, you want to write down that new location was opened, that you brought on the new team player, that you signed on the new client, that you created that program that was on there. It's really important to go back and record the successes as they happen. On a side note, just doing this on the battle board, I was able to really easily say, oh yeah, we brought that new client on in April, because it was right in front of me on that particular month. Okay. So not part of your battle board, but I just wanted to let you know that if you are looking at how to flesh this out, or you'd like the time and space and energy to do it, I host an event called Momentum Live. It's not open yet for registration, but if you're interested or curious and you'd like to know more, there's a link at the bottom to sign up for pre-registration, and I'll send you the details as they come out. It is a fully virtual event that will happen over the course of 3 days, April 28th, 29th, 30th. You don't attend every day, you attend one. You just get to pick the one that works best for you. And the details for that are at momentumlive2021.com. So that is the link, and I'll drop it in the chat as well. Okay, so on a daily basis, what are you going to do to make sure that you're taking action? The first thing is that you're consistently connecting to your vision. 5 minutes, whether it's speaking out loud, writing in a journal, talking to a colleague, you're going to envision the outcome. So this isn't, hey, I'm going to make these 5 calls today. That's not envisioning the outcome. Envisioning the outcome is, it's the end of the day and I connected with 5 perfectly aligned prospects, right? That's envisioning the outcome and putting yourself in the feeling of success, having already completed it. You can envision the day, the week, the month, the year, but whatever it is, just reconnecting with the outcome that you desire and the feelings that you would like to have once you have achieved that. 5 minutes. I know for a fact that each of you has 5 minutes to do this. One of my favorite times and places to do that visioning is just in the shower. It doesn't have to be, separate from what you're doing. You could take a walk, you walk the dog, while you're making coffee, just putting your mind in that future outcome. The next thing is not just to envision it. If we've got any fans here of The Secret, it's not that we're just seeing that fabulous outcome, but that we're actually taking action and implementing. We want to make sure that the rubber hits the road. And so what we do is, for the 4 focus areas, I said, you're going to pick 1 to 4 focus areas every month. For each focus area, you put 15 minutes of effort towards that area. So that could be, again, just making a list of people that you're going to connect with, or, brainstorming. It could be picking up the phone and making a phone call. It could be working on writing something, whatever it is, it's 15 minutes a day of action towards that focus area. That is going back to the earlier comment of, how to create those goals that you will take action on. It's creating the goal that you're excited about, and then having that time set in your schedule that you're going to put a little bit of effort. At the end of the day, before your head hits that pillow, being able to say, yep, I moved that ball forward, even if it was just a small amount. This will absolutely be a game changer. I used to run a course called 30 Days, One Focus. And we didn't have 4 focus areas. We had 1, and you were encouraged to take 15 minutes of effort a day. Amazing things would happen over that month because of that simple, consistent effort. All right. And then on a monthly basis, you circle back around and you review what worked, what didn't, what will you do differently, and you reset and connect your next 4 focus areas. So you might put down what you think your focus areas are going to be for each month of every year. For each month of the year. But on a monthly basis, you're going to want to make sure that, you don't have any adjustments to make to that. And if you do, go ahead and make those adjustments. You might say, I tried out this new technology. It wasn't a fit, so we're going to try something else. Or taking time and setting boundaries worked really well. How do I systematize that? So you really want to take time to reflect. I promise the 30 days pass really quickly and you're going to say, I feel like I just did this. But it's really important to always be connecting back. And that's it. And you bring yourself kind of full circle in that particular way. All right, let me stop the share here. So those last few slides, I know we went through pretty quickly. I just want to connect back in here and see, sorry, fix my screen. Okay, so from what you just saw, who here has an aha, something that kind of stood out for you, maybe that you are doing really well, or that you'd like to start doing, something that you connected with?
I think for me, what came up, Nettie, was that the planning has a male and feminine side. And I would say that my plan typically is more male, and it would be awesome to have this holistic approach to keep it more dynamic and to make the changes that I need to make during the year.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise for me too, when I started getting into things. But there's a male and female side of everything. It makes sense that there would be one here too.
Nettie, could
Yeah.
you repeat what they were? Because my brain was going, what do you mean male, female side? And I missed what you said each was.
Yeah. I mean, so for me, it's easy to visualize this as yin and yang. And if you're familiar with that at all, or that's a really easy, like, it's really easy to Google yin and yang and get a clear, like, explanation on the internet for what that means. But what I see that as is male tends to be structured, logical, numbers focused. It's the framework, like, if you think about things that we typically put in a male category, it's that organization, right? And female side is creativity. It's bringing things to life, right? So again, we have examples of this in our world and in nature that tend to be more feminine. So that is the vision, the big picture, the inspiration.
How very 1960.
Thanks.
Yeah, I have to admit I'm struggling with this concept a bit, but okay, I'll do some more research on it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or feel free, like, ping me, send me a message and we can chat about it.
Okay.
I'm happy to. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other ahas or questions that might have come up from this?
I have to say that I think I do pretty well during the course of the week, making my calls and staying focused on that. But what I don't do is that daily refocusing and saying, you know what, I had a really good event 2 weeks ago. There were some people that I intended to reach out to, or maybe they reached out to me and I didn't follow up in a timely manner. And it becomes a little too random, like, oh, I just remembered, as opposed to having a daily focus. And I think that's important. There's certain things that have become habit for me on a daily basis, but focusing on my strategy every single morning, because what I have done is I've tried to turn the switch off and said, all right, business has to take a back seat to my health, and that's good. So I stopped getting on my email immediately and say, did I get a workout? Did I prepare my food for the day? Like that kind of healthy thing, but still to take time in the morning to refocus. But thank you, because I think that's very helpful. Now, can somebody please call me next Thursday and make sure that I'm still focused?
Yes, I can.
Nominal fee.
Yeah. Susan.
Yeah, I think a line that you gave is one of the keys that I will keep reminding myself of, and that was, I moved that ball forward a little bit, even if it was a small amount. It's good to reinforce and remind ourselves that even though there's more to do, did we inch it forward in the right direction?
Yeah, I mean, most days it's not a big move down the field. And we often feel like we have to have a big block of time to really make progress on something. But the reality is we can inch it forward a little bit. And I like to remind people of how the Grand Canyon was created. It's massive, right? It was one drop at a time. So just that little bit forward every day. Awesome. Any questions? Cool. All right, Kiefer, I'm going to hand it back to you. And I'm going to drop the link into, I'll drop 2 links in. If you'd like to connect with me, my website's nettieowens.com, and the link for that opportunity to take that day to really strategically plan at Momentum Live. I'll drop that link in as well.